What's good, YouTube? Wave Magnetik here with another tutorial, and today I'm going to show you how I did the collab I did with Sandra Small called Light Is on the Rescue. This is actually the first song on our EP, Virtual Vibe EP, and yeah, this is kind of like a synthwave slash new wave kind of vibe that we got going, and yeah, I'll show you how I made it. So here's the track right here so you can hear what it sounds like. All right, so yeah, let's get right into the mix here. All right, so when I started producing this track, I actually did it with the drums in mind first, because I kind of had a vibe. I knew I wanted to do a synthwave kind of vibe, and so I just felt like, let me just start with the drums and get the feel for it. So this is what the drums sound like. So it's kind of like I was kind of trying to channel like Prince, because you know, like synth wave and new wave is like 80s kind of music. So I was trying to think of like what would be a beat that Prince would make, you know what I mean, for one of his songs. So here's a kick right here. This kick right here, I actually just I made this inside of Kick 2. I make a lot of my kicks like from scratch just to make them fit the tracks that I'm doing. And yeah, so I put my good old faithful SSL 4000G channel, and you know, I cut off the lows a little bit, get rid of some of that bottom end that don't matter, and put a compressor on it to get that knock to come out, boost a little bit of the lows and boost a little bit of the highs, and not get rid of these mids to make it fit into the track. And you know, you got to get your kick drums right to fit into the track. And then I have this snare here. This is actually a Splice snare. This is, yeah, I got this snare off of Splice. And you know, just regular stuff. A little bit of EQ, a little bit of compression to bring out the snappiness of it. And this is actually a really cool plugin, because you see this thing right here, this THD knob. Turn that joint up right there, you add a lot of distortion, but good distortion. It really brings out a lot of the highs in the snare sound. So let's listen to the kick and snare together. All right. All right, now without that processing on the kick and snare, it sounds like this. Now with it, really makes it snap, really makes the groove come hard. All right, and then the next thing I did was I put my hats in here. The thing with the hats, a lot of people, well, actually, I don't know what other people do, but the way I think about the hats is I need them to talk to my kick and snare, play off of them, so that it creates a nice groove. Like, you know, like 16th notes is like ticka 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 on the hats is, I mean, that's sometimes that's cool, but most of the time that's pretty whack. And then you have your open hi-hats mixed with the closed hi-hats. They got to talk to each other. So like, you know how like you make a melody on any kind of synth or like or trumpet or whatever instrument you play, you got to make the drums have their own kind of melody. Like, listen to the hats by themselves, it sounds kind of weird, but when you mix it with the rest of the drums, it's really cool. So you just got to make them talk to each other and make it feel like it's a melody in itself. Okay. So after I made the drums right there, I came up with a chord progression. And I really just made it a real simple chord progression. And here's what the chords are that I came up with. This is the first sound that I made for it. And that's pretty much the whole chord progression for the entire song. So basically, this was it's like a sawtooth pad that I had, and I just drowned it in reverb and made the envelope open up so it just sounded like whoosh. Made it kind of short. And then you just put a little bit of EQ and compression. Oh, actually, I didn't put any compression on it. Just mostly EQ. Just boosted the highs a little bit. Got some of the high mids. Was this at 6.3K, and cut off some of the lows, and that's about it. That's how you get that sound right there. And then I added the bass. Now the bass, I always think of when you're doing the bass, it's gotta fit with the kick drum. So a lot of times I don't really even do my basses first. Some people like doing their basses kind of soon, but I do my bass after I make my drums so that the bass grooves with my kick drum. So check it out. Check out what I did with the bass. So that right there, that makes the bass and the kick kind of are hitting at the same time. That's one of the ways that you make sure that the song grooves a lot, is if you make the kick and the bass line up, okay? So if you look, I actually have two basses here, okay? So when I do this, I usually have a sub bass, which is here. Let's mute this one. So that right there is just a low bass that handles all the low frequencies. Handles everything from 100 hertz down for sure. Sometimes a little bit higher. Sometimes it'll go up to about 200. But definitely everything below 100 hertz, this sub bass carries that. And I always separate my sub bass from my higher bass, because sometimes you want to have like a stereo wideness on the higher bass, so it can kind of go through the frequencies and just kind of like fill up the frequencies in the song and create a vibe. And but you always want that sub bass to be in mono, so it'll really rattle those speakers when you're in the club, and it just sounds more solid. Okay, so and here's the high bass right here. So that sounds really thin, but it's basically like a sawtooth thing, low end, and it makes it, I have a filter on it that's opening and closing at different times. And when you put it with the sub bass, it fills it out. It really makes your bass really solid and cover a lot of frequencies that are necessary. And you want this high bass, you want to make sure you cut off the low frequencies in that to make room for the sub bass. Otherwise, this is counterintuitive and it's not going to work that well. All right. So after I made the bass, then I made the lead sound. Okay. So the leads is two leads I put together. Okay. The first one sounds like this. All right, so then the next one I added, it sounds like this. So those sounds, I put them in octaves, and they have different, they're two different synths, but they cover the full frequency spectrum. And I put some reverb on it, but I always bust my reverbs out. So if you look down here, this is my return track. So this right here is going the first send, which goes to the long reverb. So these two tracks here have the long reverb on them. And I have all of my reverbs and all of my different synths. So this is reverbs, and these right here are my delays. I have all of these routed to an all effects bus right here, which I put my side chaining on. Okay, so I side chain here on my all effects routing, and I side chain here on my all music bus. My all music bus has everything except for the drums in it. All right, so that's how we get the side chain action going. Everything is side chain to the kick and the snare. So that's how you get all this pumping going. And let's see here. Everything else is just EQ and compression. You know, I got a little bit of highs on here, and it's going into an 1176 compressor. It's pretty basic stuff. Nothing too crazy here. But the cool thing is when I add it with the trumpet. Okay, so I have the trumpet in 3 octaves and they're layered. Okay, so I got that first melody up there, and then here is the trumpet right here. Right, so then I put the next layer of trumpets in here, okay, and I have them panned out 25 right here, 25 to the left, 25 to the right, 10 to the left, 10 to the right up here. Now this is the next octave down. Right, and then now I add a trombone part, which is panned out even more so. 40 to the left and 40 to the right. Now the trombone is really simple, okay? I literally played the part on the trumpet and I just pitched it down, okay? That's all you got to do, and it sounds like trombone. Check it out. It's dope right there, right? So now when you put it all together, it's all... Oh yeah, so I almost forgot. So then the next thing is Sandra actually played the guitar part right here. Okay, check out what she got. Dope, right? It really adds the groove. Guitar is really dope because it's a pretty versatile instrument. It can really help the groove as a rhythm instrument, and it lays down the chords. So like, it's very versatile. Like sometimes it's like, what should I do? Put a guitar in it, and it works. And that's kind of what we did because she's funky. So there you go. So that's the first half of the chorus of the drop section. And after we did that, then I just came back to the beginning. So the first thing I did was make the chorus or make the drop. And then I just simplified everything to make the verse right here. Okay. So the verse section is literally just like I took out the hats and it's just a snare and I played the clap. Just made it really simple. So the hats are still in there, but it's just like a lot more simple, right? And then I have this low pad going on. Just something really simple so that Sandra can really do her thing on top of it, right? And then this is the verses she came up with, which is pretty freaking amazing.
Feel the temperature rise up in the air, vibrancy shooting everywhere. The beat and the pulse starting rhythms, reality creating so many different prisms, lighting up to guide us through the night. Everyone holding.
This shit sound like Michael Jackson, man. That shit's fire right there. And on her vocals, like I have a real particular way that I deal with vocals. Okay, so I can go over how I did this. The first thing I did was we put a little bit of tuning on it because this is pop music and that's just what you do. But she was pretty much in tune anyway, so that was just like a safety net. First thing I did was put a de-esser on it, okay? So the de-esser is just taming some of those S's, and I do it first because it was really good when you do de-essing in layers, okay? So first is here.
Feel the temperature rise up in the air, vibrancy shooting everywhere, the beat and the pulse starting rhythms.
So you see, it's just taming some of those S's, knocking them down a little bit, right? Then I go back to Old Faithful right here, the BX console right here. Boom. All right. So with this, all I did was cut off a little bit of lows. All right. I use mild compression here. Okay. I know that this is, the first thing I do with this. Mild compression, just a little bit, just to tame the vocals, okay? This really helps to keep it up front, okay? Some people use different kinds of compressors, but I found that the SSL G channel works very well, even on vocals, okay? So I just do light compression with the compressor here. So check it out.
Feel the temperature rise up in the air, vibrancy shooting everywhere, the beat and the pulse starting rhythms, reality creating so many different prisms.
Right? We got that going. I got a little THD action. I turn that all the way up on there. Just get that vibe. All right? That's the distortion. So now I have an EQ here, right? This is the EQ, but check this out. That's not the first thing I did. I have it set up. Let's turn that off. What I did was I had this compressor on here. Then I turned the CLA on, right? I put my CLA on, and then I have my L2, okay? Check it out. So basically, I compress into this CLA, and then I use the L2 to get rid of any of the spiky peaks, right? Check them out. Watch the way everything is working right here. Watch these compressors.
Feel the temperature rise up in the air, vibrancy shooting everywhere, the beat and the pulse starting rhythms, reality creating so many different prisms.
So if you see, the L2 is just knocking off very small peaks every once in a while. Just whenever she gets a little bit pokey, just a little bit out of the way, right? And then this 1176, the CLA 76, this is doing the meat and potatoes of the compression. Is really, I'm knocking off 10 heavy duty compression, right? Now, some people be like, oh man, that's overcompress. But here's the deal. This compressor has a sound. It actually sounds like something. So I use this compressor to get the sound of the compressor. Okay, it's not a bad thing. It's just a thing. Now, once these things are compressed, now I EQ right here. Turn this EQ on. This EQ is going into this compressor. So now I'm shaping the sound into the compressor. This compressor is going to hold back any of these frequencies that sound like dog doo-doo and will make the vocal sound pleasant. This is the trick so that you don't have to do a whole bunch of pull this frequency out, pull this frequency out, pull this frequency out, pull this frequency out. All right. This is the trick right here. Compress first, but EQ into the compressor. All right. Check it out.
Feel the temperature rise up in the air, vibrancy shooting everywhere, the beat and the pulse starting rhythms, reality creating so many different prisms, lighting up to guide us through the night.
That's dope right there, right? Now I noticed that it had a little bit more S's than I wanted to, so then I just put another de-esser on right here, right before the limiter.
Feel the temperature rise up in the air, vibrancy shooting everywhere, the beat and the pulse starting rhythms, reality creating so many different prisms, lighting up to guide us through the night.
Really simple right there, right? So that's her vocal. I think we did this whole song with just one vocal. We didn't have no harmonies or nothing in this one. Yeah, we didn't do no harmonies. So then after that, I go to the breakdown section, which all we did was take a piece of the drop set, a piece of the drop, the melody there, and we just layered it up. We put guitar, the lead, and 2 of the trumpets. And we put the vocals in right there. That's the chorus. It's funny how those two things work well together. So the other thing is that on the verse, I just have this verse bass, which is basically just the sub bass. So I literally just took the sub bass and moved it over here. And this is the bass that I use on the verse. So the first verse and the second verse is just the sub bass. I just took the top bass out. That's another way that you can make it so that the drop hits harder. It's just make the drop as dope as you possibly can, and then just take stuff out for the verses. And now you got energy, and it just makes sense, right? So we got the build up here. This build up, we got some white noise and a riser. Pretty simple. Pretty simple stuff, right? And yeah, so we basically do the same thing again on the second verse. But on the breakdown section, we don't really do a breakdown section. I keep the groove going. So check it out.
Moving till the day is done. Show it out, give it up. The lion is on the rescue.
That's a pretty cool feel right here. It's just like a roll on a snare drum. Pretty simple. And I got this auto pan thing going, so it goes left to right. Pretty simple. Let's see here. So we do the drop again, and then we got this new section right here. So that right there is a new melody that I came up with. I don't remember how I did it, but I just came up with it. And it's literally the same instrumentation. I didn't really change the instrumentation. This is the same lead, and the horns are still layered pretty much the same way right here. It's the same thing, but they're just playing a different melody. And let's see here. The guitar is still doing the same thing, but I did change the pad here. So this right here is a pad that's just ducking up and down with the beat. Here we go. Pretty simple. It's just a sawtooth pad with some reverb on it, and I actually use the one knob to get that pumping sound. So it's really cool. You can make that so that it adds motion, and you can still do side chaining from your kick drum and your snare to have all these rhythms going on together. It creates a nice little groove. So we do that, and then we bring Sandra's vocals back in. So right there is pretty cool. I actually chopped up her vocals and made some new melodies out of it.
It's a gift. Show it out. Show it out. Live it up. Live it up.
That was pretty fun doing that. And yeah, that is pretty much the song. There's not really much else to it. Let's see here. We got some long claps. So this is, instead of using crashes, I used a long clap as like a crash. So anytime we're going to a new section, I use the long clap. Check it out.
Show it out.
See, really cool. Just adds like drama and lets you know, like, oh, this is important. This is some cool stuff going on. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much how I made the track. This song is going pretty good on streaming, so I want to thank everybody who's been streaming it. Make sure you share it and let everybody know about the song, because yeah, gotta pay the light bill. But for real though, I appreciate everybody who's been checking out the song, and please share it with your friends, and yeah, like and subscribe to this video below. Make sure you share this video, and hope you learned something new. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.